Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to this session of the air quality, ESIP air quality cluster. We're doing a working session today and we're going to be developing user profiles and use cases for an air quality resource center. And before we do that, I guess I'm supposed to go over some Zoom and Kiko chat. Boy, I don't know how much Kiko chat tech info I can give you because I don't get it at all. So, but I can tell you a little bit about Zoom. There is a, there should be a bunch of icons and options at the bottom of your screen. You can get to a chat window. You can, if you're not seeing the list of participants, oh, I'm looking at my, okay, here we go. If you're not seeing the list of participants, you can click on that and it should open up on the right-hand side. If you want to write in the chat window, there's an icon at the bottom of the screen for that. Depending on what version of Zoom you have, there's an option to raise your hand. It's either in your participants list panel on the right hand side, or there's an icon at the bottom that says, what does it say? Oh, no, I'm not seeing it anymore.
Reactions?
Reactions. It says reactions. If you click on that, it'll pop up a little dialog box with some icons and then also a raise hand option. So you can raise your hand if you want to say something. Mike, maybe between the two of us, we can try to keep our eye on things and make sure that we're responding to people who are trying to raise their hands or whatnot.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
Okay, great. I am going to put a link in, let's see, I've got a couple of links I want to share. I'm going to put them into the chat box. And see, now that I'm sharing my screen, I'm having trouble navigating Zoom myself. Where are you? That is weird. Cancel. How do I open the chat box? More there. Oh my gosh. You guys, I just updated Zoom this morning and it's got all new, it's hidden everything from me. So I'm really a mess. I'm putting some links in because there's some documents that I want us to work with. We're having a working session today. So the first thing I would like to ask everybody to do is to go to the Google Slides that I have got on my screen, and which I just put, the second link I put into the chat box has these Google Slides in them. And I would love it if you would put your name in there and then your 5-word bio, right? So 5 words max. Then we're going to cut you off. We want to know a little bit about you in 5 words. So choose the 5 words that you really want us to know about you. And then we'll run back through this when we've got everybody in here and ask you to go through and just read us your 5-word bio if you don't mind. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and go over the agenda. So we're going to break out into small groups in a minute, and we'll spend 20 minutes in each group. We're going to develop user profiles for an air quality resource center at ESIP. So imagine maybe some kind of web portal or whatever you think, because the sky's the limit right now. That's why we're doing this. But we know that there are a lot of people out in the world that need access to air quality information. And there's a huge diversity of users that might need information. And so today we're gonna, in our groups, get together and develop some user profiles. So think about the type of user that you think is interested, a type of user. It could be anything, right? From a teacher trying to teach an elementary school class to a doctor doing health health science research and needing access to air quality information. It could be a parent who wants to know whether it's safe to take their kid, an asthmatic kid, to the park this weekend, or whether the air quality is so bad they can't go outside. So really it could be a scientist, right, who wants access to data for data analysis or something like that. So we want to try to start documenting all of these different types of users that are out there and understanding a little bit about who they are and what their objectives might be. So that's our first breakout group. In this document, the first document that I linked to, I've put in some, guidelines, some really high-level guidelines on what you might want to think about in developing a user profile. And then we're going to come back together. So when you get into your small groups, if you could choose one person in your group to become the spokesperson for the group, then when we finish our user profile development exercise, we're going to come back together and we're going to ask each group to go over their user profile with us. Then we'll break back into small groups again, the same groups, and we will develop a use case for that user that we've profiled. So that's going to be about, thinking about what this web portal how it should interact with a user, right? What's the user going to do when they get there, and what is the website going to do in response to user input and that sort of thing. I've put a few guidelines in here again, if that is helpful for people. It's not, comprehensive, so by no means should any of these guidelines stop you from doing something differently, but just in case people are kind of wondering what they should think about for doing this, that information is in this document. That's the first link that I put into the chat box. So I will pause there and ask people to, first of all, let me know if you can't access either of those documents. What I want to do with this slide deck, I've put a whole bunch of slides in here, blank ones basically, and I'm going to ask you to document your user profiles in the slide deck, and then we'll do the same thing for the use case when we go back into small groups again for the use case development. So
Beth?
Yeah.
So you don't want us to update the Google Doc with the user information. I mean, with the for the use case user profile information that goes into the presentation package, but the Google Doc has the guidance for doing it. Is that correct?
The Google Doc, yeah, this document has the guidance in it. This slide deck is where I think I'd like to see the documentation of the actual use cases, so that we'll have them as a presentation. Yeah, is that okay? All right, so if you're just joining and you haven't put your name in our slide deck as a participant and your 5-word bio, please do so. The second link in the chat box is a link to the slide deck that we're going to be documenting the results of our working session today. So I'd like to stop now and just go through really quickly and ask people to say their name and then their 5-word bio. So I'll start. I'm Beth Huffer. I'm the co-chair with Mike Little of this air quality cluster. So my 5-word bio, I love logic and words. Mike, you want to go next? Why don't we just go down the list here?
Hi, everybody. So I'm Mike Little. I work in the high-end computing program at NASA, and I'm mostly interested in machine learning and models at this point.
5 words, brother.
Yeah, but I had 5 uhs in there, so.
Okay. Phil.
Hi everyone, I'm Phil Young, George Mason, and currently I'm interested in air quality in terms of how it interacts with public health, especially the pandemic.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Cynthia?
Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Hall, and I am with NASA's Earth Science Data Systems program, and I do look at user communities and how to make data more accessible.
Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. Welcome. Ethan? Are you still there, Ethan? Did we lose Ethan?
Nope, just found the mute button.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ethan McMahon. I'm at EPA, and this is my favorite topic, just working with communities on air quality and hopefully empowering them, not just playing with the data, not just raising awareness, but helping them act.
Awesome. Welcome, Ethan. Bob?
Hi, Bob Chen. I direct Season Center at the Earth Institute at Columbia and manage the NASA Socioeconomic Data and Applications Center, which has a number of air quality relevant data and tools.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Karen?
I am Karen Moe, retired from NASA, and consider myself now an air quality and environmental justice citizen scientist.
Awesome. Welcome, Karen. Jing Chao?
Hi, this is Jing Chao from George Mason, and I'm currently working on machine learning street level air quality downscaling. And I'm a PhD student of Dr. Phil Yang.
Welcome. Thank you, Jing Chao. Chen?
Hi, I'm Chen. I'm a PhD student at the University of South Carolina, and I am also the ESEP Disaster Lifecycle Cluster Fellow.
Great. Thanks, Chen. Philemon?
Hi, Beth. Nice to see you
Hi.
again.
You too.
Yeah, I'm Philemon Gaylor with Texas A&M University based here in Corpus Christi. I remain to be the DMAC coordinator for the Gulf of Mexico Coastal Ocean Observing System.
Great. Thank you. All right, I clearly have to teach you people a few things about 5 words, but but that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do our groups. It looks like we'll have one group of 4 maybe, and then the rest groups of 3, Yanni, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, so you want, let me see, the 10.
Yeah, I guess we'll have two groups of 3 and then one group of 4 maybe, or 2 groups of 2. I don't know. What do people want to do? So we're gonna do actually, let me stop before we do the breaking into groups. So do people have any questions about, Daisy, stop, about this, about what we're gonna be doing, or anything you want to say before we break into groups?
Beth, I came in late, so I did not catch up actually.
Okay.
I was just wondering what the group will be talking about, because
So this is a working session, and we're going to be developing user profiles for an air quality resource center. So we want to develop an air quality resource center, the air quality cluster at ESEP, and it will be some kind of web portal that will help people get to information that they need. And so right now we don't really have any kind of design, and we want to think about who there's such a diverse group of potential users out there. We want to develop some user profiles. It could be anything from a scientist to a parent with an asthmatic child trying to figure out if it's safe to go to the playground, right? It could be a scientist who wants access to HDF files, or a person who only has an iPhone and just wants to know what the air quality is. It could be a teacher, it could be a health science researcher or something like that. There's so many people out there that need information about air quality, and they're going to have different needs. And so what we want to do first of all, is to develop some user profiles. Secondly, we're gonna, then we'll share those with each other. Then we'll go back into our groups and we'll develop a use case for that user based on their profile.
Okay.
And then we'll come back together and discuss that as a group. So, and I just want people to, not worry about, we won't be able to satisfy everybody. What we're going to do over the next 6 months in our regular monthly meetings is iterate on these profiles and use cases, and maybe we'll decide on 1 or 2 or however many we can that are going to be our focus. And then in the summer meeting, we're going to come back together and try to have a hackathon where we're going to actually sit down and start trying to develop something. So between now and the summer meeting, we'll want to iterate on the use cases, and we'll probably want to do some wireframing and that sort of thing. So right now the sky's the limit though. So just, when you get into your groups, think about anybody that you want to focus on, and then we'll go from there. And, we'll decide later what we're going to actually do. So does that make sense? Any more questions, anybody?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I definitely will be able to help because GCUS is serving the air quality data from BOEM.
Great. Okay.
So
Beth?
I'm going to,
Beth? Yeah, just a comment. We have 20 minutes for the first breakout. And there was a question here from Bob about, do we just use one user type or all that we can think of relevant to what we have in mind?
I don't know. I guess, yeah, you can,
We decide.
yeah, right. If you get through the first one and you want to do a second one, I think that's fine. In fact, so much the better, right? The more the better. So yeah, just, to go over some of the things to think about are like, what kind of technology access does this user have, and what's their level of comfort with technology? What are their goals and objectives? What kind, what's their relationship to air quality? Is it professional or non-professional? Maybe think about their occupation, what kinds of resources they might be looking for, and that sort of thing. So that's with that said, I guess, are there any other questions? I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the chat very well. This is a new layout that's not actually that helpful. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any other questions in chat, so I think we can go ahead. Annie?
all right, so I'm going to create 3 breakout rooms. Since there's 12 of us, you'll have 3 to 4, depending if everyone joins. I'm going to have everyone be assigned automatically. So you're just going to be taken into the breakout room. I will let you know, I'll probably give you the 5-minute warning when you have 5 minutes left. And maybe if you could name, Beth, I'm going to say like name your group, or like maybe just with your user profile. So when we do the second breakout, you can all find each other again. So I guess maybe highlight one user profile for me to use as the name for the second breakout. So I'm going to create these and I'm going to send you in.
All right, thanks everyone. We're back, and I think the goal now is for each group to go ahead and tell us about their user profile. So does anybody want to volunteer to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Great, thanks.
Is there a, I wonder if I can find the notes, Beth. They're in your slides, right? In the
Yeah,
slides?
yeah, we are number 4, slide number 4.
4. Okay.
Hey, I know Sally Smith. I went to high school with her.
Why don't if you want, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and then people can just tell me which slide to look at, so that people can sort of see where we're looking for the user profile. So, so there. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Okay. So this is drawn from experience. A small town neighbor. The town has is near a large metropolitan area. In fact, it's near Washington, D.C. The mayor is not a scientist, but very much appreciates science. And I think that's a real plus. Technology, very comfortable with finding things, using, the tools, computer searches, believes in science, and kind of assume that mayors these days, even small town mayors, several of them at least, would have somebody very knowledgeable and comfortable with computers if they are not. But she is very much so comfortable with computers. I think that's also a big plus. In terms of the data needs, one of the things that really pushed us into this direction is the need for a baseline assessment of what our air quality is. And the reason for this is because the town is adjacent to some heavy industry zoned areas, and the neighboring companies want to get a waiver for air quality, for example, or a waiver for water quality, but in this case, air quality. And the town has no information on which to respond, except that people in the town complain that there's strange smells. They go outside, they have a headache. So we need a baseline to say what is our current air quality over the different seasons for a year, and then we want to monitor it in the future so that if somebody's burning something they shouldn't be, can we tell, and can we get the state to help us to monitor and regulate the pollution. So those are the data needs in the snapshot. I will say that there's also a very clear focus on public health. So we really want this information to be available to the citizens. There's a lot of people, myself included, with allergies and different issues that need to be monitored. In terms of tools, we're in the middle of a project where we're actually outfitting the town with purple air sensors, and we'll have a couple of sensors that do a little bit of chemistry in there as well. And we are currently using Purple Air and their website for the information, and of course they collect that data, and you can get your data from them through their cloud. But we don't have a website yet that is very much focused on the town's questions and needs, both for the public, the members of the town, as well as government. And then the objectives, there's just a lot of heavy traffic, truck traffic, public health issues. And then this question comes up where the state will say, do you have any comments about this company requesting this waiver or wanting to build this capability adjacent to your town? So is that fair enough, short enough assessment?
Sounds good. Thanks, Karen. Okay, great. Let's hear from the next group. Why don't we go with the National Statistical Officer next, if whoever that group is, if you guys.
You want me to do that one? Since it's
Yeah.
mostly my
Yes,
idea. So I raise this because I actually have a call tomorrow with a National Statistical Office team in a country in the Middle East, and they are seeking help in computing a sustainable development goal indicator called 1162, which is annual mean particulate matter at the more or less at the national level. So, this is typical that countries have a statistical office filled with statisticians, various levels of capability, maybe GIS, maybe not, but they're certainly not air quality experts or that sort of thing. So they are interested in pulling together data, which may come from satellites, it may come from sensors, typical air quality sensors in a city or wherever, and they have to pull that together and create at least a national level indicator, but also they may be interested in, some of these other characteristics of who's exposed, whether it's urban and, differences in urban versus rural and so forth. So, they need to have some ability to deal with that type of data, aggregated or disaggregated. Deal with both modeled and observational data, put that together in a meaningful way, and do that on a regular basis so they can report it to their government or to the UN or other groups, and also guide decision makers who may be making decisions about air quality issues. They're not active managers of air quality and episodes or other problems, but they are looking at it from a national level.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this is great, you guys. It's really interesting to see all the different users that people come up with. Okay, the David Jackson user. Let's hear from that group. And also, if you could tell me who you are, who was in the group. I should have asked people to put that down. That would, or just add your names or tell me and I'll do it. But anyway, David Jackson, do we have a spokesperson for this user?
I can speak for that. I can speak for David Jackson.
Great.
And actually, we spent a lot of time talking about NASA data quality. So we didn't put so much content for this, but we have a research scientist in academia who called David Jackson. And the education level is graduate student, probably like master student or PhD student, or PhD. And the technology he used is ASRI software, for example, ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Online, and the Jupyter Notebook, Python. And the data he needed for the research is the county level air pollution data, such as PM 2.5, PM 10, and NO2, SO2, O3, etc. And we want to highlight the geography, the unit geography unit of the data. We want to use very fine data, like county level or census tract level, ZICTA level data. And we also need to remove sensing data and population environment exposure, as well as the socioeconomic impacts. At least we want to assess the risk of that area. The spatial and temporal scale and resolution scope are very important. We also probably want to do some vulnerability to say that county, whether it's vulnerable or it has higher resilience. The tool we're gonna use or need is the models, the HDF and NatCDF Radar and GIS tool. The objectives are provide data for air quality research or for public health research. We also want to assess the impact of air quality on human health and COVID outcomes, such as the case fatality rate, etc. Anyone want to add some additional information for that? If I missed something.
Yeah, I just want to add to the objectives. In fact, we're not going to be able to use the air quality data to test to look at how the case rates and fatality rate and case fatality rate has been changed. It's really to use the quality data sets to find out how the COVID has impacted. For example, where we have 20% or 30% or 40% reduction of the PM 2.5 or NO2. So LASA does have some of the data sets and also the data sets from in situ sensors. In fact, it's quite interesting that kind of in your group, we're talking about where to plant, where to place those sensors. So it will be interesting to see how these use cases to interact with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Chen.
Thank you.
Okay, how about the concerned parent group?
Sure. This is Ethan. I can go over that. I was thinking too, though, of the David Jackson person. It sounds like they also want to have COVID data. COVID
Yeah.
data, mortality and morbidity, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. What's the impact of air quality on yeah, I'll add that here. About that. And anything else, Phil, that you wanted to add on morbidity?
No, as a morbidity or mortality or?
You can use both for now. You don't know what your experiment. You don't know what your research is going to be necessarily, right?
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Hey, Ethan, your voice is just a little quiet. I don't know if you can turn up your mic volume or if you're just far enough away that it's not picking you up very well.
Let's see. Is that any different?
How about that?
A little bit. It's a little better.
I'll speak louder.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go to slide 6. So this user profile is for a concerned parent. This would be a parent that has a child who's under the age of 18, and the child has asthma. And education would be at a high school graduate level. I'm not sure if we approach this technology correctly, but these are the technologies that this concerned parent would have. You know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. What are they going to have access to? I think that's important to know.
You know, they would have a browser and home computer, and Bob, I think you mentioned that they might have mobile phone as well. It's pretty popular still across the country. Data needs. Simple, clear projections of air quality for today and tomorrow. It might be in the form of air quality index. Ideally, it's going to be pretty localized data for a neighborhood or a portion of the town. And actually, I'm going to put this here too. I think we also need recent data. I added some stuff here too. Just hold on. The recent data maybe, you know, hourly, let's say, something like this. The tools they would have, and here's where I'm not sure if we are duplicating for number 3, technology versus tools, but you know, they would have web browser and internet connectivity. And then we started putting down the kinds of tools that they would want. Again, some of that might be data. We just did this one very quickly. But somehow we would need personal history about the thresholds of asthma for this specific child, the child's historical asthma incidence, timing-wise and treatment intensity, things like that. Health resources. I'm not quite sure what we were getting at for that. Bob and Mike, can you add more there? Health resources, you know?
Well, it's okay. You can flesh this out during the use case development session too of this today. So, you know, it's fine.
Good, good. Oh, I see. There we go. Would you have it at hand, right? And then at the bottom, some kind of notifications. I guess that's maybe texts or something like that. When air pollution levels are high, that might be kind of an output that they receive. And finally, the objectives really are to reduce the child's exposure to high air pollution levels and identify when the child can safely go outside or exercise outdoors. Something like that.
Awesome. Yeah, these are great, you guys. Thank you. So I do want to, I think at the end of the meeting, we're running a little late, so we probably want to hurry up and get into our next group. I hope we'll have some time to discuss at the end, you know, some of the overlap, even though these are really diverse types of users. I'm seeing some common themes. It would be great if we can discuss that. But I'm thinking that we should go back into our groups and start fleshing out the use cases. So thinking about, you know, how can we help this person, right? What might we be able to do as a cluster in providing a resource center for this user? So Annie, if you can
You bet.
thing again.
Yep, I'm going to open all the rooms. And there you go.
All
Hey,
right.
Beth, we didn't talk about when to bring people back, but I figured 15 minutes left would give us enough time.
Yeah, I thought that went pretty quickly. So probably this was the harder part. I mean, we did really just high level on ours, which is fine. I think that's probably all we can do right now. But
I thought the discussions were excellent.
Yeah, this has been so interesting. I'm really happy about how this is going. So, okay, so let's talk about our use cases. We had some really interesting ones. Do you want to go ahead, Karen? And then let me get this pulled back up on my screen. And we'll just go ahead and maybe we better go pretty fast because we don't have that much time. But just maybe kind of highlight, you know, some of the things that you think are going to need to be done that our resource center might need to do to help your particular user. So Karen, why don't you go ahead with our Sally use case?
Okay, real quickly here then. We're assuming that she's going to need a website that is going to collect all this information and map-based and show not just the town, but the neighboring areas that might be affecting our air quality, the town's air quality. There would be a need to look at real-time data, maybe in layers, including traffic, industry sources that might be a problem. And then the ability to compare what's happening right now with the recent past, perhaps hourly, monthly, weekly, monthly, or even seasonally. Then we also talked about residents in the town being able to report events. Like there's something outside in the air and they a way of reporting it and geolocating it. So that the mayor would be able to see people being affected. And then accessing, and being able to relate this information back to, say, a higher level, county and state level events, or not events, requests for policy response to evaluate something. A lot of times a company might want to have a permit or a waiver that's going to affect, and being able to provide authoritative data back to the higher levels of government. And then finally, and this one actually is a big one, communicating this air quality information to the townspeople as a public health resource, and educating them. Sometimes you want them to support you in terms of determining, different permits and activities at a higher level. You know, should they put a new road, you know, right through the middle of your town kind of thing, and get townspeople informed about the impacts of something like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Okay, National Statistical Officer.
Oh, I guess that would be me.
That's you, Bob. I guess you're up again.
I'm trying to find, sorry, I don't have the right slide. Okay, here we go. This is more a case where I think where a person coming to the portal will want to know that they're accessing all the relevant and high quality data resources from the ESIP community. So, you know, they'll have to decide whether they want, you know, some processed annual indicator grid or go to the raw data and process it the way they want. They'll want to know that the sources, that they can document the sources and the methods that are used, so that if you know, they publish indicator for their country or region, that others will be able to reproduce it. And if it shows something bad and people complain, they can point and show that it's a real thing, not somebody manipulating the data. So, you know, I think it builds on what we as scientists are accustomed to, but, you know, providing easier access and information when there are multiple sources about which data may be more appropriate and useful, or maybe examples where other people have. You know, so they're going to come in, they're going to have specific spatial and temporal interests, and they'll need to kind of sort out whether they want to use modeled or observational data. And, you know, to the extent that the portal can help with that process of selection and integration and then analysis, I think that would support the kind of need we're talking about.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. All right. David Jackson, you're up.
Okay, David Jackson. So we specified the David Jackson's objective to do like very specific project to find out what the air quality cluster, what the data they could provide or help. So the objective is analyze the air quality anomaly at Chicago. And so David Jackson searched NASA data dashboard to find the air quality data available over Chicago from 2020 until today specifically. And David Jackson is very interested in ozone, PM 2.5, PM 10, etc. And he need to use the metadata to identify the data quality. So the metadata should be very like complete, or like to validate whether the data is like could be trusted. And then need to download the dataset found in provided format, GLT, or converted from HDF, NetCDF to GLT, etc., by directly connecting to the data resources. And because we are also doing the air quality impact on COVID, so we David Jackson need to download the COVID data set from COVID-19 data source for Chicago region in file format. Because we're very like GIS or a GIS direction. So with the confirmed cases, death case on a daily basis. So we need a very like spatial and temporal indicators, and then need to assess the air quality impact on the COVID outbreak and evolution in city of Chicago. We need to use some statistics to like correlate to the COVID outbreak to air quality anomaly to see if there are any formal relationship. That's our plan.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. This all this sounds really hard, you guys. Anyway, that's okay. We can do it. Okay, the concerned parent use case.
You know,
Ethan, you want to take this one again?
In the interest of time, I don't mind just passing that, letting that one go. We don't have that much time to do kind of a recap.
Oh, okay.
I think it's better for the group. I don't need to know this. So we can-
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we?
Hey, let me just, I'm sorry, I just want to take a second to point out that that particular use case is really different than the others, because what the parent is really looking for is some notification and help in deciding whether it's safe for the kid to go out, not a lot of research data. So they want an answer. They want an answer they have confidence in, not a whole lot of data that they can sift through.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, Mike. I was going to say one good topic for discussion that I mean, we don't have very much time here, and I want to invite everybody to, before I say anything else, I want to invite everybody to come to the air quality cluster meetings on the fourth Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time every month, because we're going to be iterating on these use cases and fleshing them out and trying to figure out what we can and can't do and that sort of thing. And I really hope people will join us and work with us on this. I think it'll, we can really get some great ideas. This has been fascinating. I really do appreciate all this input. I wanted to say though, Mike, that I thought there was a lot of overlap here, even with a variety of different types of users. I think the mayor has a lot of shared objectives with this parent, for example. And I think David Jackson has some shared objectives with the statistical officer and with everybody, right? And I think Jing Chao, do you want to comment on this as a researcher? We talked about how useful this is for scientists to know what people down the road actually need to get out of their research. And I don't know, do you want to say more about that, Jing Chao?
Definitely, because when Karen just brought up the topic, the mayor, Sally Smith, the question I have, or the idea I was having in mind is, as a researcher, a lot of time when we write a paper, we were saying the research is for better supporting decision making for example, government or management level, but the fact is, we do not know the exact need from those people. We are projecting our ideas to them, and so that we come up reasons. For example, we need better resolutions, we need more data set, but does that really solve their problem? Because after discussion, I find out like we have some similarities regarding different problems. For example, air quality, we want more sensors, we want access to better data set, but eventually we come up a model that does the jobs that mayor want, but we do not have a public launched portal for the mayor to access. So I think there's a lack of communication between the user need, the use cases, and the researchers.
Yeah, yeah. So that could be a really great contribution that this cluster could make, I think, is trying to make that connection between researchers like Jing Chao and Phil and Chen and, you know, like others of you who are researchers. Sorry if I don't name you specifically. Right, and the people that are trying ultimately to consume this data and to do things with it, right? To make policy decisions, to change policies, to try to improve air quality and that sort of thing, or to try to keep your kids from having an asthma attack. And you know, these are all really important. So I'm gonna put this slide deck and the other stuff, documents, I'll make them available. They're already available, I think, in the Chico chat in the agenda page, and I think, you know, people should feel free to circle back and comment on or add to these. But again, please join us for our cluster meetings on the fourth Thursday of every month. And between now and the summer, we're going to try to flesh these things out and get them into some sort of shape where we can actually start trying to implement something. And we'll do that at a hackathon at the summer meeting. So plan to join us again then. And thank you all so much for attending this session and for your really great inputs into this these exercises. We really appreciate it. And
Great.
that's it. It's 3:30, but if anybody has any final comments, please shout them out.
I just
That's
put
great.
the listserv
Thank
for,
you for,
no, I was just going to say, put the air quality listserv if you're not already on it in chat. So grab that link if you haven't already signed up for that in the chat now before we head out. But yeah, great job. Sorry, whoever I got off.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Annie. I should have done that myself.
No worries.
Thinking of it. Phil, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
yeah, this is great. I think it's great to look at the use cases of air quality. Thank you, Beth, for organizing this with Mike. And we definitely look forward to the following on to this towards the summer meeting.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Hopefully we'll see you in 30 minutes at happy hour. I'm going to go pour my drink soon and I'll be back. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again, everybody.